motorcyclist, adventurous, entrepreneur, woman of extraordinaire.
I don't know if I can go on now.
Well, yeah. Anyway, well, this is great, and we're really happy to have you here.
Thanks, Mason. It's great to be here. And as Mason said, and as you may have noticed by the title of this learning curve session, it's speed, endurance, and adventure. And so that's the theme that we've got. And it's really about, learning about ourselves and learning about the power that we all have. This happens to be the topic is more about women riders at this time, but it can apply to men too. There's no difference. One of the most empowered women I know, and I'm going to introduce you to her right now, Nancy Sabater. Nancy is the AMA Motorcyclist of the Year, and Rob Dingman has described her as one of the most dedicated, the most driven, and the most well-intentioned motorcyclists that he knows. So welcome here, Nancy. Thank you. Nancy made a huge difference, and Nancy played a key role as a grassroots activist working with the AMA in defeating the lead law. And I'm not sure how many of you know about the lead law. We're going to talk about that in a bit. Talk about how you got interested. How did you get started in riding first? Because this is all about riding and what riding teaches us about ourselves, and then what we're able to do as a result of that. So how did you get started in riding?
Friends, wanting to, I saw friends riding. I come from Florida originally, and up in the northern part of Florida, there's a place called Croom. It's a place, thousands of acres of riding, off-road vehicles, and my friends were doing it, and I wanted to learn, and I did, and it was a great time. And, the good thing about Florida is a lot of times when you fall down, you're falling in sand, so it doesn't hurt so bad. So it's a really good place to learn, and it was a good time.
Now, you've been riding for a while. What got you interested in starting to get involved as an activist?
Well, if it's something I believe in, I'm very passionate, very enthused about it, and if I feel that it's important, I want to share that with the people around me so that they can also help that, whatever that issue is. If it's motorcycling, we need to be very proactive. I really think that as motorcyclists, we can be targeted a lot of times, and we need to make sure that we can stand together. And as being an activist or whatever, if it's what you believe in and it's a good thing, you need to protect it. You need to be vocal, and the best way to be vocal is to grab people around you. Your voices together are much louder than one person.
You make an interesting point, an observation I hadn't thought of before, because motorcyclists have been targeted before, or we use the word for different things throughout our history. But this is something very different, and it's kind of mainstream, but it's still a way that motorcyclists were threatened with rights being lost.
Yes, and the youth in particular, if you talk about the lead law had to do with youth motorcyclists, four-wheelers, anything off-road that contained lead. If you target the youth, aren't you essentially targeting the future? So, we're talking about future motorcyclists, whether it be on the road or off the road. It's important, because a lot of the people I meet that ride on the street now, they started on the dirt in their parents' farms or backyard, whatever. So don't target the youth of motorcyclists. We need to definitely band together and fight that, and that's what we did. And I think there will always be things for us to fight, to preserve our freedoms as motorcyclists. And like I said, we need to be strong together.
When you first started this campaign, getting involved, did you have any idea where it would lead or how successful you could be in rallying the forces?
No, I didn't know it was going to be so great. I didn't know that we would actually beat it, but I knew that we had the tools. And if we, band together, we can definitely make it happen. And when you have the families involved, I think that's what also makes it good. And I think I saw that we're getting a lot of support from the family, from the industry, from people everywhere, your neighbors. How could this be wrong? How could we not win? And so we did. It's great.
One of the things that you talk about, or that's mentioned in the article in the AMA magazine, and we have the cover up here if you haven't seen it, it's a great article on the process of the legislation, and Nancy in particular, and her role. But one of the things, as a motorcycling community, that's where a lot of our strength comes from. And you were going around trying to get petitions signed, and you went to a Harley-Davidson dealer and got a good reception. Harley-Davidson is not involved with youth and off-road motorcycling, yet it was a great example of the community banding together and supporting each other. Can you talk about that a bit, please?
Yes, the Harley dealership, as you said, it's not dirt friendly, so to speak, but I went there because, as I said, I think no matter if we're on the road or on the dirt, we all have something in common. We all want to ride, and I just thought I could approach them, and they were very approachable and very understanding, and they had open houses, and they said we were more than welcome. And we went there, and a lot of people were looking at us because we brought a youth motorcycle with us and set it up at their open house with our petitions, and they were like, why is there a dirt bike here? This is the street. And I explained to them what the lead law was, and they were blown away. And I had a lot of street riders commenting to me that they started riding as a youth on a dirt bike, and that skill, the skills that they learned on a dirt bike as a youth helped them to become better street riders. You're more aware, especially if you do any kind of trail riding. You're aware of your surroundings. It makes you, it just, the amount that you learn from riding off-road is great. It's a great skill that you can take to the street. And they, as a community of street riders, they supported us, and many of them attended the AMA Family Capitol Hill Climb, and they supported us. It didn't matter that they didn't ride dirt bikes. It had to do with helping your fellow motorcyclists, and I'll help them, if they call on me, so it's something as a community. We are a community, motorcyclists.
One of the quotes that is in the magazine article about what you said, Nancy, is that we have a lot more power than we think we do. And I may have paraphrased that, but when you were involved in this campaign, and I know there was lots of other volunteers, and you were working with Jessica Irving from the AMA, there must have been times when you were discouraged. Where did you get the strength and the energy to continue this?
Knowing how important the fight was, that in itself made you want to keep striving, even though you might get down. But yes, the AMA played a big role, and Jessica Irving in particular is a very enthusiastic person, and very she can keep you motivated, and that was great. And a lot of I would say that I could call on Jessica if I was down because I had talked to someone who just wasn't getting it, and she could turn that into a positive and make me see another way about it. And that's something I feel very strongly about the AMA, because I have learned now how beneficial they are to motorcyclists. I mean, to be a member of the AMA, it's not just the magazine that you're getting. It's a big team behind you that fights for you. Fights for the rights of motorcyclists, and so many, like, it's so vast, like how we're being attacked, and a lot of us don't even realize it. So I'm a big advocate for them, and I would have to say that she was somebody who did, empower me and continue me to get up and get going and motivated when I did feel bad. The other thing that was really motivating is the kids, like to just see the kids and know that, holy cow, like how could they not be riding? That's so sad, to take that away from them. That's very empowering, is to see the children and know that they're the future. They're the future. So that can be motivated, I think, as the children also.
Before you started this and getting involved, did you have any idea of the influence that you and the role you've had? You've inspired a lot of people, so you've demonstrated a lot of personal strength yourself. Did you have any idea that that was in you?
No, I didn't. That was pretty surprising. Just like this whole thing is very surprising. I'm used to someone who's in the background of things, so this is just like, whoa. When I got the magazine, it floored me. I had no idea. So, and I didn't know that I would be able to encourage that amount of people. But I think it was just a chain You know, if I encourage, you know, 5 people, they encourage 5 people, and so on and so on. And that's why it's so important, you know, everybody that's here is to, if you know something's going on and it's something you really feel passionate about, don't just assume that your neighbor knows about it. Don't just assume that your friend knows about it. They may not know, and you could be that spearhead. You could be that one to really drive the issue and make it a real success.
And we all have that power within us, too.
Absolutely. It's in every one of us. You just need to tap into it.
Exactly. Nancy, you started the Moto Patriots as a result of this. Let people know what that's about, please.
The Moto Patriot, you can see us on Facebook. We basically, the volunteers that help fight the lead law, to me, they were patriots. A patriot is someone who fights for freedom, believes in freedom. They were patriots. They put time, energy, you know, they're just people like you doing things. And I would love to continue that, to grab that volunteer base and work it and continue to fight for things that we believe in. So I call all of those people that helped us Moto Patriots. And we started a Facebook page, and you can look at it, just facebook.com/Moto-Patriot. You can also look at our videos that I took, that I went to professional motocross races and talked to professional riders and got their 30-minute stories, or 30-second stories, about how they started riding and racing. You know, they were very young when they started, and their stories, and there's a lot of really good videos. And I think that we can work together, and I would love, you know, anybody who's interested in, you know, working with me, I would, you know, love to hear from you, and love you guys to just kind of join the list of Moto Patriots. And, you know, when issues come up, we know we can fight them because we'll have more people and we'll have numbers, and it's important, and we do matter. And you have to remember that your representatives, you don't work for them, they work for you. So you need to know how to vote, because you need to know what they represent, because they're supposed to be representing you. And it's important, and I hope that we can all band together so we can be a stronger motorcycling community.
If you haven't looked at the AMA magazine lately, there's a page in there usually that's dedicated to all the, you know, the new issues, and there's certainly on the website there's a list of ongoing things where rights are threatened. It's something to really, it's a wake up when you look at it and you realize that as motorcyclists, these are things that are threatening our rights. And it goes beyond us as motorcyclists too, because, you know, maybe this is something that's affected kids in motorcycling, but it's something that influences us greater. I mean, what's the next right that's going to be, you know, that's going to be affected, that needs to be addressed too. So your influence has gone beyond that.
I hope so. I hope that we can continue to encourage people to get involved. I mean, who better to fight for motorcyclist rights than motorcyclists? I mean, really. So if you're sitting on the sidelines, it's time to get off. And it's time to get involved and really shake it up. I mean, you need to. It's important. I really, and you know, as far as women in motorcycling, what you feel when you ride, especially with a group of guys, it's amazing. You should do it.
Which reminds me, tell us about what happened last weekend.
I just raced my first race. I'm 41. I raced my first hare scramble, and last weekend, okay, it was really hard. But, you know, I did well. I completed it, and it wasn't for anybody else.
And you beat?
I beat 2 guys outright, and the rest, I think there was like 7 other guys who just didn't finish. I finished.
So you beat them too. So you beat 9 guys. I'm going to ask you if you have any questions for Nancy in a minute or so. One of the questions that came up yesterday, though, was, okay, Nancy, what's next?
There are so many things, and I've been thinking about, you know, what is next, because there really is so much, and I'm still working on that. And what I want is feedback from people. What is important to you? And I think one of the biggest things we need to do is please go to the AMA and see what is, there's like a list of things, as you're saying, a list of things that we need to conquer. And, you know, the AMA only has about 230,000 members, and I know that sounds like a lot, but man, across the country, how many motorcyclists are there? So we need to improve that base so that they can help us fight, and they can give us the tools that we need, because that's what I got. I got the tools that I needed from the AMA originally to gather people and do things. And you know, in regards to this cover should have been many other people, not just me. But if I'm there, you know, I'll just tell you that, you know, it's a big deal. We need to be together, and we need to fight whatever issues come up. We have issues with ethanol in our gasoline that is ruining our motorcycles. You know, I deal with it on a regular basis, you know, for off-road bikes. I mean, it's a constant. We have issues in regards to motorcycle checkpoints. If you're riding on the road, I mean, it continues and continues and continues. So I hope that you will look at the AMA, but I also hope that you'll come to the Moto Patriot and connect with me on Facebook so that we can build this up and be here for the next, you know, show and talk about what we've done together.
Thank you. What question? Anybody have some questions for Nancy?
What would that be? Yeah. Girls, riding with the purse is not easy. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Right. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that you know, because of the lead law, there was a time frame when dealerships couldn't sell youth motorcycles, any motorcycle that was made for children 12 and under. They actually had to pull them off the sales floor for a period of time, and that even meant gear. I mean, kids' gear, parts. I mean, it was insane. And in an economy that we're in right now, when we're all suffering, could you imagine the impact? This lead law would have taken effect in December, this past December. And how many even knew about it? Really? I mean, it's insane. Why didn't we know about it? You know, and again, and I could put a little bit on that on some of the dealerships. You know, there should be big signs. Hey, this is going on. As a customer, you need to be aware. You know, and we need to know what's going on. We need to be educated. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing, but now that you know, let's be aggressive and let's be proactive together, you know, because it would have been devastating for the community. I mean, you see the youth bikes out here today. They wouldn't have been allowed. It would have been illegal for the bikes that you see here today that were made for children 12 and under. It would have been legal for the four-wheelers. I mean, everything. Imagine that. So.
That's right. And it's an interesting point. Thanks for raising that too, is the whole economics of it. So you're the face of all the volunteer activists that have fought for this. And so I know you don't like to take credit for it. And I know there was a lot of other people working for it, but you know, it is something that it has a larger effect beyond even just our riding rights. Any other questions for Nancy? How you can get involved or what you need to know?
If you're interested, I'll be here. I have some cards so we can connect and, you know, and take a magazine, and hopefully, you know, we'll see each other again next issue.
Thanks, Nancy. And before we go, I do want to mention that there's the AMA is holding the International Women's Conference in Keystone, Colorado this July. Men and women alike can attend, so men don't think just because you're not a woman that you can't attend. You can.
Is it Colorado or is it?
Did I say Colorado? I said Keystone, Colorado. I'm sorry.
It's Carson City, right? Carson City, Nevada.
Yes. Thanks for that. It's Carson City, Nevada. That's why we have teamwork. Carson City, Nevada, July 26th to the 29th, and it's always a great experience. Lots of learning, lots of workshops, lots of networking, and a beautiful site, a beautiful venue for that. And of course, I'm here with my book talking about you know, stories about women, how they learned about themselves through writing, and how that's translated into other areas of their life. Things like what Nancy has just described. You know, what we as motorcyclists have to offer, and I think it's tremendous. And we have a lot to show our general society about that. So I'm down at booth 956. Would love to see you there. Thank you very much, Nancy, for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for what you've done too.